So I think it's hard to explain bourgeois propaganda, but it starts with the assumption, this is not anything anybody hasn't heard before, that we're all just atomized individuals who need to practice personal responsibility and other useless misnomers. I think that I'm a rare Marxist Stalinist, who is nonsense word, who is pro-enlightenment. I just think that, a lot of pro-enlightenment people are anti-state, but the state was actually in much the same way that scientific institutions, Protestantism represented the breakdown of the church, and that helped free us. Come on. Come on. No. I don't know what you want over there. The state was a breakdown of private property relations. There was no state 1,000 years ago. There was a bunch of fucking landowners who had land disputes, and at best you had little local city councils. That's the closest thing you had to a state. If you want to see Ancapistan, just look at many parts of Europe prior to the 14th century. And I think that was an Enlightenment value. God, they need fucking sidewalks in this damn neighborhood. Do you hear this shit? I think the state, maybe it's a post-Enlightenment value, it's a Marxist. It is a post-Enlightenment value. In a sense, I agree with Chomsky that Marxism is an extension of liberalism, like how Marx agrees with Adam Smith on a lot. You have the labor theory of value or the individual theory of value. Although I don't know if I would call it, even labor theory of value might be a misnomer. At least how I understand it. It's a class theory of value. That you understand things as classes of objects. Maybe specifically people, but I understand everything as classes of objects. aspect to understand why things have the value they have, it's best to understand conscious creatures in terms of class. Not individual. Individual doesn't give you a lot of useful information about a person. Not as far as predicting behaviors will go. Individualism is it's what justified enclosure. Homelessness. The kind of property rights that in a lot of ways are just holding us back. A lot better than the divine property rights that came prior to it. I think that in order to give your people liberty, you have to have a strong enough state to crush your enemies. I'm a realist about politics. You have to crush your enemies, or they will undermine you. And who are our enemies? Well, those are the classes of people who favor aristocracy, who favor the strength of individual will. Not really. That's a misnomer. Who think that is anything but a useful tool and confers any more rights to anyone. You think of someone who works really hard. In this society, maybe we value people who work really hard, and there's a lot of value to that. It's okay to criticize things that are good. It's good to work hard. But you get someone who works really, really hard, but they neglect their family. And when they do see their family, they're all stressed out. So they're just angry and they're mean to them. You know? Hard work also has its drawbacks. This is Nico. It's my baby. That's my wife's dog. She got her shortly after we first started dating. She got him shortly after we first started dating. She said she wanted a dog because I was at work all the time. Hopefully I wasn't mean to her. I don't think I was. My daughter would agree. I hope. Yeah, anyway. She was like, I want a dog. And we lived in just a little apartment. I'm like, okay, not even an apartment, the upstairs of a house, like a duplex. And I'm like, okay, but just a little one. So we were thinking about it, and then the lady at the office, at the doctor's office, was like, she needed to get rid of this. She had a bunch of big dogs, and the Chihuahua didn't. He was just scared of him. He didn't know how to play. And he was just scared of him. Kids didn't like playing with the little dog. They only wanted to play with the big dogs. So we took him in. And he became her dog. And only her dog. I mean, you know, he loves me. And now he's my dog. And only my dog. But that was his person. That was his person. And he's been back and forth across the country with us. She was so good at with dogs. She could walk him, no leash. I can do it, but I have to like retrain him. She taught me, you know. She could walk him with no leash. He'd stay right by her side. He was such a good boy. People who think anything should confer upon anyone any special privileges. You know, that's a dangerous idea. It's fine in small regional circumstances. Some few, you know, there's this cool old man seen at the bank, you know, people should be really nice to that guy. He's always really nice to everybody. He's probably been like that his whole life. Okay. You know, You should win awards and shit. But they start wanting to codify that into law. That becomes a problem. Property rights are fine and great, you know? And then fucking they start codifying ways to keep you out of it. Credit scores. Fucking, that's not a law, but I mean, it's, you know, fucking zoning. I despise online YIMBYs, but I am a YIMBY. I just think that they're sorry for the rant. They're just so clearly a fucking psyop. They all are unanimous on everything. They all speak each other's language. They all look like the same. Not really, but like, just you can smell them from a mile away. The same fucking white dudes. Every solution to them is fucking, give my uncle money so he can build giant fucking apartments that'll sit empty. You want to build a bunch of fucking apartments? You do it how China did it. China. Come on. China just built them. Just said, here, we're going to build a bunch of cities, and then people will populate them. And for the most part, they did. And you give them away. Cheap, 90% home ownership. $80% of those are paid off. 90% home ownership, 80% of which is paid off. We have like at 60% home ownership or something like that, and most of it is debt. That's what private property gets you, not the strong arm of the state. The best thing to come out of the Enlightenment. The rule of law. I mean, you know, there are some issues with Marxist-Leninist states. We all agree. We all agree. I think China does a great job of rooting out corruption. It's so very obvious. COVID made it so very obvious to people, and they closed their minds to it, that socialism is the answer. What are you doing? Worrying me, Papa. Why do you want to get that close to all these cars? We're finally on a sidewalk. Lost my train of thought. Socialism was the answer. Shut down non-compliers of the social good. Pay people to stay home. Give them unemployment insurance. Help them get homes. Universal basic income. Remote work, which by remote work, control of your workplace. some reasonable representation. These things are good for societies. The only thing that stops people from believing that is propaganda, but that sounds lame to say it like that. It's just social intelligence. You've been raised to be like, whoa, the Soviet Union, Stalin, bad. Okay, so name me a president that was good. Name one. Name one. Name one good president. You can't. You can't do it. I mean, if you can, you're a racist. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't write the rules. I don't care if you're fucking hurt by that. You weren't born a racist. You were raised that way. And you need to be allegedly put in camps and re-educated. And you know it. You'd rather live in a accepting, inclusive, prosperous society, everybody would, than in a war of all against all. Everybody would. You know, it's like the way you don't get bullied is you fucking beat up bullies. And then they won't bully you. They'll want to be your friend, which is worse, sort of, but in a different, it's better in a lot of ways. It's worse it's worse on a class level. It's worse on a class level. It's good on the individual level. Well, we need a strong state whose goal is to root out bullies of all kinds and let people just enjoy their lives the way they want. And it may sound counterintuitive, but even pick your favorite bourgeois Enlightenment government. And that's how they did it too, to their enemies. The democracy only counted for the chosen ones. Only some individuals deserve their freedom. You know, look at my spotty work history. I don't deserve my freedom. I need to suffer until I learn better. All right, well, I'm about 40, so I don't think it's getting any better. I'm doing fine, actually. I mean, I get a lot of help. But so does anyone. You look at your life, I'm sure you were handed things that you didn't deserve. I'm sure of it. And you took advantage of those opportunities. There's no such thing as personal responsibility. I mean, there is. You should be personally responsible within the limits of your willpower. You should be held responsible to yourself. But that doesn't matter. The fact is, some people need help. I guess that's why I've always understood this. Because I know I do. I've been looking for like a mentor my whole life. Because I know I need like a steward. Like Monk. That's perfect. Just somebody, and that's why it's got to be paid. It can't be a friend or a family member. They want to cure you. They want to fix you. You're a burden on them. It's got to be a job. And who would fund that? The state is the only person who's gonna. I mean, you will fund that for your own family, but I can't afford that for myself, let alone my kid. I'm not saying everyone needs a steward. Most of you would be fine. I just need someone to be like, hey, why don't you think out this social interaction real quick first? You sure you wanna go out the house like that? Here's how I can help you make that look a little less unpleasant to people who fucking care about that kind of shit. Or what, just there's 1,000 reasons. Hey, let's not do that. People are not gonna like that. And I know you don't want to be a bad person. And they're not gonna understand. They're probably gonna arrest you. Hell. You start seeing people who assume that people are atomized individuals who need to practice personal responsibility. That's one of the hallmarks of bourgeois propaganda. It's just going to lead to the conclusion that the poor need to die. And who are the poor? Other disabled kids like me. Who mean the best. I mean, we weren't perfect. We did wrong things. We all did wrong things. All of us, you included. Remember to stand like a normal person. Remember to look people in the eyes like a normal person. Are you supposed to respond to that? What do you even say to that? What's a good response to that doesn't seem weird? Just remember to look them in the eyes. Don't stare too long. Are you standing up straight? What are you doing with your hands? What is that? What are you doing with your hands? Don't do that. Do something different. No, that's stupid too. Do something different. You look like a fool. Stop being weird. Why are you being so weird? Just be normal. Just be yourself. No, not like that. Real. Sir, could you give a brief summary of your life? Got it? I love these moments. It's just me. I don't. I hope people interact with these if I do publish them. And I know a lot of people are going to be weird and mean and stupid. But be yourself. Okay, that was weird. Why are you being weird? Story of my life. Especially calm down. Calm down. Just fine, but it's not like I was gonna hurt anybody. It'd just be me and my friends fucking chilling. I'd get to talking about some philosophy. I get hyped. I get excited. My ideas are radically ahead of their time. Radically ahead of their time. Weed legalization. It wasn't even legal. The only place in the world I knew about was fucking Amsterdam. It wasn't even legal there. They just didn't enforce it. See, I love to let the boy off the leash. We get to the park. We can roam. See, but that's what I mean. The strong hand of the state. I'll walk him. So he don't walk in front of cars. I'll make sure he gets his nice, good little exercise. And then we get to a safe area. And I let him off the leash. We used to roam around, sniff everything. There's not as much going on here because nobody walks their dogs in the park, in this park. But still. And in the summer, we have a nice little ritual. That's our morning walk, actually. I can't do the winter. It's too cold. It hurts my skin. It hurts my bones. I hate it. I mean, I take them outside, but the walks are scarce. I feel bad about that. But I got my daughter to start walking anymore, so that helped. He's so cute. You thirsty, Papa? I should probably get him home. He looks pretty thirsty. Why it's bending like that? Didn't bend like that last year. That made it a lot harder. Wasn't that flexible. Normally I'd jump onto there, walk across the arm. across it. Do a few pull-ups at the end. I took a couple weeks off. I had a meltdown. I had a public meltdown. Why can't I just be normal? 4 wasn't bad. 4 wasn't bad. Fat. You ready to go back yet, Papa? No? You look pretty thirsty. Can't land this. I don't want to have to use both feet. Come on, Bubba. Bubba. Bubba, come on. You put up a fence for him this year. He likes to just sit out in the sun. I don't have time now that I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. I mean, it's hard to call it work, but I mean, when I'm working, it's work, but a lot of my time is driving back to my house, I guess. No. Because once I sit in my house for a few minutes, it shuts off. It doesn't count my time, and I'm still working 60 hours. So, I'm literally working sun up to sundown most days. Boy, I'm gonna put the leash on you. You're getting too close to the road to be leashless, young man. Here's what I'll say about Comrade Stalin and the strong hand of the state. He's still upheld by every major communist party in the world, which means most communists in the world. Nelson Mandela was a fan. MLK was at least a fan of Lenin. Einstein was at least a fan of Lenin. I'm not aware of them saying anything specifically about Stalin, either one of them. You know, he was an important figure in a very transformative period for the world and the ending of the Nazi scourge and the beginning of the technological age, the space age. Every leader should be criticized and did monstrous things. But I can appreciate the New Deal, despite the internment camps and the Jim Crow. Redlining, etc., etc., etc. I can appreciate Lincoln despite his racial views, his treatment of the natives, his treatment of his wife. Hey, boy, where do you think you're going? Come on. I can look at Caesar within the context of the Gaelic Wars and call him a monster for that. I can look at Caesar within the terms of him being a populari or whatever and trying to impose democratic virtues on the Senate. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Come on, Papa. You're gonna get bit in half, bro. Come on. He knows I'm getting mad. You gotta be both. You know, the evidence shows you don't need to be a domineering parent, or you don't need to skirt the middle ground between an authoritarian parent and a totally libertarian parent. You need to be both in appropriate contexts. Where 3 big giant dogs might come out at any time and bite you in half. You need the strong arm of the state to tell you to come on. A state that you know will give you consequences. Even if it's as simple as not getting you treats. I mean, he wasn't initially trained that way. She does this lay him on his side thing. Nothing violent. She just somehow she Tai Chi's him down like the dog whisperer. He does that side thing. And then they're like, I'll do whatever you say, master. Now, I'm not saying the strong arm of the state is all good. I'm saying that the key difference between fascism and communism is that the communists discovered it first. And the fascists were like, that's really effective. but we hate communists. Let's do that against them, which is also really effective. Fascism is just based on all these fucking dumbass, the great lies, big, dumb, fucking stupid assumptions by people who aren't You could beat every fascist up. Every one of them. But they want to be. So that's like what all their assumptions are. So their ideas just logically lead to fucking chaos and carnage and destruction. Pre-rolled came free. I don't really smoke joints, but whatever. I need some water. The difference between right-wing authoritarianism and Marxist authoritarianism is that reality has a Marxist bias. We call it left-wing if you're not personally a Marxist, but everybody thinks you are just because you don't accept capitalism. So and Marxism is a science, so you might as well just embrace it. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? But anyway, reality has a left-wing bias. The facts are on our side. Even if you're just a left-wing liberal, the facts are on your side. You still believe the same facts. Or you're at least amenable to them. I don't usually smoke like this, so don't judge me, or do. I don't care. I'm definitely much more of a temperate smoker. I hit a bong maybe once every few hours. I'll take like 2 or 3 hits sometimes. I just need to calm down. I'm so hyper. My daughter bought that to celebrate me getting my blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I had to take a break to start this job, but I'll sign up at a different place so I can take some morning classes. Just gotta make sure I can pay all the bills and have that much money left over. I will get a black belt in something, you know what I mean? I've always wanted to. It's really expensive, and as an ADHD kid, I gave up on most of my special interests that my parents wanted to invest in. And I didn't give up on them, but like I still play the guitar. I just could never stick to a special interest. The philosophy of liberation at best. I fucking dive into them. And then I'm like, all right, I kind of figured that out. On to the next one. TLDR, you're not a special little snowflake. You are a special little snowflake, but that is mostly meaningless information as far as navigating your life goes. And if you want to understand why you face the struggles you do, you need to start understanding your class position. And I think a lot of Marxists do make a mistake. To me, my reading of Marx was that it's not that there are only it's not that there are only the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. It's that capitalism, by making the commodity the primary means of distribution, it forces people into two large super classes, the proletariat. There are already, all the other classes still exist. The priesthood still exists. The nobility still exists in a lot of places. But the priesthood and the nobility, you know, they got especially the priesthood. They got shoved into the bourgeoisie. Even the Protestant priests are business owners for the most part. So that's my reading. It's not that there's only two classes. That's why I understand race and sex and stuff. These are all also classes. And everything gets forced into the two big super classes. That seems to be the plain. I don't know. I'm not a theory guy. Not in Marxism. It's just not my focus. So correct me if I'm wrong. That's how I understand it from my various readings of Marx, or people arguing Marx, and to be clear, I've never read Capital, but I've read summaries of Capital. I've listened to a lot of discussions on Capital. That's how I like to learn anyway. If I'm going to read, I'm exceptionally good at reading, so I want to read people who are trying to put it in a modern context. That's excuses. Damn, to have a crutch. I've read, the 18th Brumaire. I've read portions of, in a lot of discussions, I've read portions of, I'm not a theory guy, I'll admit it straight out. Not that theory. I've read portions of the German, you'll know. It's just the framework, I think, makes perfect sense and explains why it gives you predictive power. And obviously so, Marxism led to theories on how to take over governments. You know, it's the proof is in the pudding. There's flaws. I think it's still a proto-science. It's not exactly predictive, but it's working. Marxist states outperform capitalist states of equal development.